The Lamenters stand as a tragically fated loyalist chapter within the expansive universe of Warhammer 40,000. Among the many chapters of this grim era, they bear the weight of a dark curse that has persistently shaped their destiny. This ill-fated legacy casts a somber shadow over their achievements, often transforming their hard-won victories into bitter disappointments. Descending from the lineage of the Blood Angels, the Lamenters were born during the ominous 21st Cursed Founding. In a remarkable twist, they managed to eradicate the notorious gene seed flaws of their forebears, the Black Rage and the Red Thirst. Although the methods they employed to achieve this miraculous cure have since been shrouded in mystery, probably lost to the annals of time. Their history is one of turmoil and strife, marked by close brushes with annihilation. The Badab War and a harrowing clash with the relentless Tyranids stand as testament to their indomitable spirit. Despite inherent instabilities woven into their chapter's gene seed, their unyielding resilience shines through. Their chapter master proudly proclaims that with each adversity surmounted, the Lamenters emerge even more formidable than before, an indicator of their unbreakable spirit in the face of relentless adversity. The distinctive appearance of the Lamenters Chapter is a visual indicator of their unique identity within Warhammer 40,000. Originally, their power armour sported a vibrant shade of bright yellow, accentuated by a red helmet stripe and a right shoulder pad adorned with a striking pattern of white and black checks, serving as the canvas for their chapter badge. In their most recent incarnation, the Lamenters have transitioned to a more subdued mustard yellow for their power armour. They've also relocated the chapter badge and iconic checkered pattern to the left shoulder plate, which is probably more to do with the marks of power armour worn than an actual change. The Lamenters proudly display their squad's speciality symbol in black on the right pauldron. This symbol can signify various roles such as battle line, close support, fire support, veteran or command, with a white low Gothic numeral at its centre, denoting the squad's specific number. Further distinguishing their ranks, the colour of the left knee plate corresponds to their company, adhering to the Codex Astartes. As an evolution from their original design, the Lamenters have removed the once prominent helm stripe from their colour scheme. The chapter badge itself is a striking emblem, an image of a bleeding heart set against a backdrop of black and white checks, symbolising the essence of the Lamenters' identity in the grim galaxy of Warhammer 40,000. The history of the Lamenters Chapter is a tale intertwined with the enigmatic Cursed 21st Founding, an event that unfolded in the early 36th millennium and is shrouded in a veil of secrecy and myth. This founding has become notorious for the misfortunes that befell many of its created chapters, a dark reputation firmly etched into the annals of both the Inquisition and the Adeptus Astartes. The very mention of chapters born from the Cursed Founding often evokes feelings of contamination and ill fate. The Lamenters trace their origins back to the gene seed of the noble Blood Angels, meticulously altered by the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus on Mars. Their mission was to expunge the notorious genetic flaws known as the Black Rage and Red Thirst that had plagued their progenitors. Yet a cloud of melancholy seems to hang over the Lamenters, a psychological affliction that remains shrouded in mystery. It's uncertain whether this melancholy is an unforeseen gene seed flaw or a consequence of the repeated and unfortunate events that have marred the chapter's history. While the Lamenters managed to escape the ultimate degeneration into something no longer recognisable as human or sane, they were marked by the flaw in the eyes of their fellow Space Marines. Many chose to distance themselves from the chapter, regardless of its unwavering loyalty to the Emperor of Mankind and his Imperium. Despite their noble efforts in defending the people of the Imperium, the Lamenters carried the weight of their lineage, a burden that set them apart in the grim galaxy of Warhammer 40,000. In the early 37th millennium, the Imperium faced a dire situation as corrupted Astartes from the ill-fated 21st Founding, along with other dissident forces, launched a series of bloody uprisings and purges against the Emperor's rule. In the midst of this turmoil, the Lamenters faced a critical decision. Rather than risk entanglement in internecine conflicts with their fellow Astartes of the 21st Founding, the Lamenters chose a path of strategic withdrawal to the fringes of the Imperium. Leveraging their mobility as a fleet-based chapter, they embarked on a relentless crusade against external threats, avoiding the quagmire of civil strife within the Imperium. For the next millennium and a half, the Lamenters remained steadfast on their Imperial crusade, engaging in numerous campaigns against the various Xenos species that menaced the western reaches of the galaxy. Their record was marked by honourable victories and valiant defences of isolated Imperial worlds. However, misfortune seemed to haunt them at every juncture. As time passed, dark rumours swirled around the Lamenters, fueled by their recurring setbacks and unfortunate twists of fate. Even when they were summoned back into the Imperium's heart in the 39th millennium, alongside other crusading chapters to confront the rising threat from the Eye of Terror, suspicions persisted among Imperial commanders and fellow Space Marine chapters. Their reputation, often a double-edged sword, had severe consequences during the 9th Black Crusade's Chaos Assault on the hive world of Corellia. The Mortifactors chapter, driven by superstition, refused to fight alongside the Lamenters and abandoned the planet. Undaunted, the Lamenters stood their ground, defending Corellia alone against the onslaught of the Black Legion for 6 grueling solar weeks, enduring heavy losses. Eventually, relief came in the form of the Ultramarines and White Scars chapters, breaking the Chaos Warfleet's blockade. By that time, the Lamenters had been reduced to a mere 200 surviving Astartes. Shortly after their relief, their fleet mysteriously vanished into a warp storm, reappearing over a standard century later at the edge of the Segmentum Solar, having battled their way back from the outer void. Once again, they slowly rebuilt their fleet and chapter, operating as a crusading force near the galactic core. In the year 587 of the 41st millennium, the High Lords of Terror called upon them to join the defences of the beleaguered Maelstrom Zone as one of the chapters known as the Maelstrom Warders. Their mission involved patrolling the desolate expanses of the Maelstrom's western zones, swiftly responding to and neutralising chaos and piratical threats. The Lamenters took on this duty with unwavering dedication. During this period, a unique alliance blossomed between the Lamenters and the Astral Claws, who held strategic command in the Maelstrom Zone. They fought side by side in numerous battles, with the Astral Claws offering the Lamenters a level of honour and respect seldom experienced before among their fellow Astartes. They also provided essential war material to help rebuild and sustain the Lamenters' strength. However, it was this newfound friendship and the bonds forged in the crucible of battle alongside the astral claws that would ultimately spell doom for the Lamenters, a tragic turn of events in their tumultuous history. The organisational structure of the Lamenters Chapter reflects its lineage as a Blood Angel's successor chapter, inheriting the martial traditions and combat doctrines of the Sons of Sanguinius. While they adhere to the fundamental principles of the Codex Astartes, their operational approach exhibits notable flexibility. The chapter is nominally divided into 10 companies, each composed of 100 Astartes. This includes 1 veteran company, 1 scout company, 4 battle companies, 1 tactical reserve, 1 assault reserve, and 1 devastator reserve company. However, unlike many Codex-compliant chapters, the Lamenters rarely engage in full cohesion battles. Instead, the Lamenters employ agile strike forces assembled from various units across the chapter, allowing them to adapt swiftly to diverse operational requirements. Recruitment for the chapter is a practical affair, with potential aspirants selected from feudal worlds and remote imperial colonies encountered during the chapter fleet's travels. Notably, the absence of typical Blood Angels gene seed deficiencies enabled the Lamenters to maintain Codex compliance for most of their history. However, their fleet-based nature necessitated some tactical adaptability, as isolated elements had to adjust their strategies based on limited resources. The Lamenters' reputation resulted in their operating without direct Imperial support for much of their history, fostering a sense of self-reliance uncommon among Codex-compliant chapters integrated into the broader Imperial war machine. The frequent bouts of misfortune that plagued the chapter further moulded their tactical outlook and recruitment practices, emphasizing pragmatism and adaptability. In terms of tactics, the Lamenters favor shock assault strategies, often employing close air assaults, facilitated by their Thunderhawk and Storm Raven gunships. When it comes to equipment and insignia, the Lamenters align more closely with standard Space Marine equipment than their Blood Angels progenitors or fellow Blood Angels second founding successor chapters. This choice is likely driven by the ease of resupply and maintenance for a fleet-based chapter without a fixed home port, necessitating self-sufficiency. While the Lamenters do preserve a select few cherished sanguinary relics, heavy tanks like Land Raiders and Baal Predators are less prevalent in their arsenal compared to other Blood Angels successors. Terminator armor is also a rare sight in their armory, highly prized by the chapter. Unique to the Lamenters is the operational placement of their chaplains within the overall chapter command structure. Rather than being distributed within individual companies, as is common in most Codex-compliant chapters, this arrangement allows chaplains to monitor the emergence of the Red Thirst, a grave concern in the chapter's ranks. The sanguinary priesthood, known as the Calyx among the Lamenters, holds a particularly influential role in chapter governance. They tend to not only the physical well-being of the Astartes, but also the spiritual wounds that they carry, playing a pivotal role in sustaining the chapter through its numerous trials and tribulations. The gene seed of the Lamenters chapter bears the marks of potential tampering during its creation process by the Adeptus Mechanicus. The true extent of these modifications carried out on Mars, appears to have been kept shrouded in secrecy, possibly even hidden from the scrutiny of the High Lords of Terror and other chapter masters of the Adeptus Astartes. This conjecture gains credibility when considering the widespread political turmoil and division that gripped the Imperium during the early 36th millennium. It is likely that the experimental procedures applied to the Lamenters gene seed received at least tacit approval from their progenitor chapter, the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels had long sought a solution to their enduring afflictions, the Red Thirst and the Black Rage. The objective of mitigating the flaw was to some extent achieved. Existing records from the 21st founding suggest that the Lamenters Chapter witnessed relatively few instances of Astartes succumbing to the Red Thirst over the centuries. However, an intriguing development emerged within the Lamenters' ranks. Distinctive mental and temperamental idiosyncrasies began to manifest and intensify as the years passed. A sombre melancholia seemed to settle upon the chapter's collective psyche, and it was rumoured among their fellow descendants of Sanguinius that the Lamenters bore the weight of their Primarch's death with a depth of sorrow unmatched by any other Blood Angel's successor chapter. Regardless of the veracity of such claims, misfortune had already become an unwanted companion to the Lamenters. As time passed, their predisposition towards melancholia deepened, and the frequency of Red Thirst afflictions among the Lamenters Astartes increased noticeably. Reports also suggest that the genetic flaws inherited from the Blood Angels have shown varying degrees of exacerbation in all of the Blood Angels' successor chapters over time. The fate of the Lamenters remains uncertain, with the chapter enduring steep losses in its battles against Hive Fleet Kraken. The question now looms as to whether they will endure long enough to initiate new neophytes and stem the tide of their diminishing ranks. The Lamenters boast an impressive fleet, signifying their capabilities and resources. At the onset of the Badab War, the Lamenters possessed the formidable mobile star fortress known as the Mater Lacrimarum. This colossal vessel served a dual purpose as their mobile fortress monastery and a repair dock, embodying their self-sufficiency. Also, the chapter's fleet included 2 exceptionally potent battle barges, 6 agile strike cruisers, and 3 Vanguard-class cruisers, underscoring their formidable naval power. In support of these capital ships, the Lamenters fielded a fleet of 22 escorts, comprising various classes of vessels. This diverse fleet not only showcased their versatility, but also allowed them to effectively project their force across the void of space. The Lamenters' fleet serves as a vital asset in their engagements, demonstrating their commitment to the defense of the Imperium and their readiness to confront threats, even in the grim and perilous galaxy of Warhammer 40,000. The Lamenters are one of the greatest chapters in all of the Warhammer universe, and hopefully, one day, their luck will improve.